Hey guys, how's it going? Shimbob here, and today I just wanted to go over the changes that Respawn has made to Scorch in the latest patch and just give my thoughts and opinions on whether they've actually fixed him, so to speak. Also, just a side note, the gameplay that's going in the background was like the first match I jumped into after the new patch went live, just to take Scorch for a bit of a spin, and wowzers, I couldn't believe how good of a start I got off to. The enemies were just like lining up for me. It sort of felt like I was in that movie, The Happening, the one where everyone sort of just starts suddenly killing themselves. So yeah, enjoy that. Anyway, back to Scorch and his buffs. So he got a permanent dash along with Legion, but the dash works for these guys a little bit differently. If you pick the dash kit, instead of getting an extra dash and having two like Atlas Titans, he'll just have a slightly shorter cooldown. So it reduces the cooldown of your dash from 10 seconds to 5, which is pretty nice. I thought this was a really clever way to sort of go about increasing Scorch's mobility and still keeping it balanced, because if they had just done it the same as Atlas Titans, then they'd just be Atlas Titans running around with extra health, and that would sort of make a lot of the Atlas Titans sort of obsolete. So I've got to hand it to Respawn. That is something that I don't know if anyone else in the community thought of. I know I definitely didn't, but very clever, very clever. I'm really impressed by that one. They also increased the width of his firewall, which I haven't noticed too much, except for the fact that it tends to tag enemies a little bit more, and it's definitely easier to set off multiple traps at the same time. So no complaints here about that one. The other buffs he got were all made to his kits. So Wildfire Launcher now does more direct damage on top of the ult effect, which is good. Scorch Earth's effect lasts longer, and Tempered Plating now makes Scorch immune to his own fire, as well as crits. So that's probably the biggest change that he's gotten, along with the dash obviously. Now, do I think that Scorch is back up in the mix of the meta with the other top dogs? No, not yet at least. I think two main things here. One, the changes to the kits have brought a couple more of them into the mix as far as viability goes. Temper Plating is very strong now, for survivability builds at least, as well as people who want to sort of play a more aggressive playstyle. Now they've sort of got to choose between whether they want to melt people's faces with the Flame Shield, or whether they want to survive a little bit longer while they're melting people a little bit less. And it kind of makes Scorched Earth now viable, so to speak, a little bit more than it was at least. Sort of for those people who want to go for big highlights and massive big cores that sort of line up perfectly with three enemies stacked up on top of each other. Can be good for some highlights, but in most other situations it's not very practical. And the second point that I thought was that at least these changes that they've made are a step in the right direction. They definitely open the door for more iterations on these ones in the future, and I definitely think it was better for Respawn to do it this way rather than just overbuff the crap out of Scorch and have everyone screaming for a nerf until the next patch, like so many other developers tend to do. This way both us and them can test these changes thoroughly and make a more accurate change in the future when and if they decide to do so, which I believe they will eventually, because there's a lot of people in the community that were very pleased to see the buffs to Scorch, but sort of also seem to feel that they may have just fell a little short. However, like I said, it's a good step in the right direction, so hats off to Respawn once again for at least listening to the community and making a good effort once again. Let's not forget that they also added in a little game mode which seems like it's almost specifically for Scorch, and that's Frontier Defense, which he is like a god in. He would have been even before these buffs, but now he's seriously legit. I also wanted to mention that we're only 40 subs away from the hoodie giveaway, and that I'll also be redoing the hoodies and bringing out some new designs now that I've got the new channel branding. So keep your eyes out for those in future videos next week. Also, let me know down in the comments what you all think of the changes made to Scorch, and if you think they were enough, or if we still need to make more changes to get him back up on the same level as the other Titans. Go ahead and like the video if you enjoyed it, it's really appreciated. Even subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, just keep doing what you're doing, guys. Cheers.